Good morning student, myself Aman. I am going to teach 8th standard history subject and second chapter is the growth of nationalism and age of revolutions. First one, what is the meaning of nationalism? Nationalism can be described as strong feeling of love and loyalty which people have for their own country. Nationalism means a feeling of love, loyalty and pride for our own nation. Nationalism arises when people share feeling and experiences. It may include a common language, culture, religion, social order, historical traditions, etc. And patriotism is also part of nationalism. The next topic is under this chapter, American Revolution. American Revolution means because England had a group of 13 colonies along the eastern coast of America, and France, Holland and Spain also established their colonies and control in the North America. So, the American people started a war of independence or American Revolution, and it was first organized political struggle by the political parties, political leaders to overthrow foreign rule. Foreign rule means England rule, and establish a sworn democratic state, means a country that is free from the external control, and that country was United States of America. So there are various causes for the American Revolution. First one, the Americans were not allowed to start any industry or business under the England control or rule. Second thing is that Americans did not have any representation in the British Parliament, means within the America country they have no right to suggest or to advise their any representation in the British Parliament. Second, they had to pay more taxes than the English paid in England. Next one, the English settlers in America were also inspired by the European philosophers like John Locke, Voltaire, Rousseau and Montesquieu, who believed in freedom, equality and rights of people. Next one, English Parliament passed a Stamp Act which imposed stamp taxes on all the business transactions. So, this act awakened violent resentment among the colonialists. Violent resentment means they were dissatisfied with this act. They raised a slogan, no taxation without representation. So American thinkers like Thomas Jefferson asked the people to rebel against the tyrannical rule, means unkind rule of England. Next one, the most important event and protest was the incident known as a Boston Tea Party. In 1773, a group of people raided British ships in the Boston harbor and threw 340 crates of tea into the sea. And this was protest against new tax, that the new stamp tax on all business transactions. So, which British government had imposed upon the colonies, especially the tax imposed on the tea. So these were following causes that were responsible for the American Revolution's rise of nationalism and growth of revolutionaries. And the next topic, what was event during the American Revolution? During the American Revolution, the 13 British colonies in America revolted against England, and this is known in history as the American War of Independence. On 4th July 1776, representatives of all the 13 colonies met at Philadelphia and adopted a Declaration of Independence, and in which they declared their right to independence. Thomas Jefferson, an American philosopher, was the author of the Declaration, and the Declaration said that all men are born equal and are endowed, means all have a right to live a life happily liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It also said that all people have a right to form their own government. So that was written in the Declaration of Independence. Next, result. What was result of American Revolution? The most important result of American Revolution was that new country named United States of America was born. In 1787, a new constitution was framed at Philadelphia, and in 1789, George Washington became first president of the United States of America. The American Revolution is an important landmark in the world history because it inspired the people of other colonies including India to overthrow their colonial masters and showed the path of democracy, means freedom. The Americans celebrate the 4th of July as their Independence Day. The USA has written constitution which makes the country a federal, democratic and republic. So that were the events and result during American Revolution. Good morning student, myself Aman. I am going to teach 8th standard history subject chapter number 2, and the next topic of same chapter, next revolution, is the French Revolution. European and England countries also have colonies in French countries. So French people also inspired from the American Revolution, and they started revolt against the colonies, European colonies, England colonies. So that time French society was divided into 3 main classes. The first class was made up of clergy, means priest, and the second class was made of nobilities, means officials, officers, landlords, and the third class was made up of common peoples. It includes merchants, lawyers, teachers, and doctors, patients, and artisans. The first two upper two classes, they were enjoyed luxury life and all the rights, and owned all the land between them and paid no taxes. But the third class, lower class, was heavily taxed and lived a life of hardship and misery. And that time King Louis XVI was not aware, was also unkind towards the common people and lived a life of luxury himself. There was no checks, no supervision over the absolute power of the French rulers. But common people of French were greatly inspired by the revolutionary writings of the famous French philosopher Rousseau, Montesquieu, and Voltaire. So, after inspiring from their ideas, they attacked the church and the nobility in their writing. Rousseau wrote that subjects have the right to overthrow the king, means common people have a right to overthrow the king who does not work and rule according to the common people and general will. So the philosopher propagated the ideas of liberty, means freedom, fraternity, and equality. The French people were also inspired by the American War of Independence. So all these made them ready to fight for their rights and justice. So these were causes that were responsible for the French Revolutions. What was event of the French Revolution? So during the French Revolution, on July 14, 1789, people of Paris stormed, means attacked, the prison of Bastille. That is, the picture is given in your book. So they freed all the prisoners. Monarchy was overthrown, means kingship, role of king was overthrown. The incident became a symbol of victory of the French people, and the 14th July is observed as a national holiday in France. King Louis XVI and his queen Marie Antoinette were first imprisoned and after that put to death in 1793. There was mercy for some time, and reason of terror began under a radical group. So thousands of nobles, clergy, and even the innocent men were executed. In 1795, National Assembly of France adopted a Declaration of Rights of Man, which declared that men are born free and equal. A new constitution was framed, and France became a republic with liberty, equality, fraternity as its guiding principle. Liberty means all people has a right to live freely, happily. Equality means we are all equal. Fraternity means we are all brother and sister. So these liberty, equality and fraternity became a three guiding principle of French Constitution. Result of the French Revolution. What was the result? So first of all, it introduced democratic ideas, and under the supreme rule of kings, the noble and church lost their property. Their land were distributed among the common people. Slaves in French colonies were set free. Then watchword of the French Revolution such as liberty, equality, fraternity led to a rise of new democratic and social order in the year. So it also inspired the other European people to overthrow their oppressive government, and the words liberty, equality and fraternity find a mention in the preamble to the Indian Constitution also. So that were event and result of the French Revolution. So thanks and have a nice day.